Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And for those who follow me, I haven't done much commentary on sports. And as the football season is fastly approaching, the NFL is fastly approaching the playoffs. The two teams that I particularly follow: the Kansas City Chiefs and the Dallas Cowboys. And I want to talk a little bit about the Kansas City Chiefs, who have been the two-time Super Bowl champion in the last 3 years. They're struggling now, and I want to give some comparisons and contrast to who the Chiefs remind me of from the past and the mistakes and the missing pieces on why they're struggling this year. They lost to the Raiders twice this season. And for any of my personal friends that know, one of my close friends just passed in November, maybe about 2 months ago, a couple months ago, Scotty Guthrie, and he was a diehard Raiders fan. So he is up in heaven, definitely smiling that the Raiders beat the Chiefs twice this year. And that brings some comfort to my heart to know that he's resting in paradise and resting in peace. And his Raiders have beat the Chiefs twice, one of the oldest NFL rivalries that's out there. The Chiefs have had the Raiders' numbers for a number of years, so it's nice to see that. And unfortunately, Scotty didn't get a chance to see it, but he's always in my heart and my prayers. But Kansas City Chiefs are struggling, and as you know, they signed Patrick Mahomes to, I think part of the problem is his contract. They signed him to a 10-year, $477 million contract with another $26 million in bonuses that could total up to about $505 million in one player. 10 years, $505 million. That's like $50 million a year for 10 years. And I'm proud that the players in the NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball are able to be compensated at an exorbitant rate today. However, we're not paying teachers, police officers, firemen, doctors, nurses at the same rate, and they're saving lives each and every day. America has the pay scale and the appreciation price a little skewed. Is actor can make $30 million for one movie, but a teacher, a sixth grade teacher, can barely make $30,000 in 1 year, and he or she is dealing with 200 kids a day. If you're teaching 5 classes with 40 kids in each class, you do the math. You're parenting 200 kids a day, 5 days a week. And as we all know, it's stressful enough if you have your own children that you're raising, 2 or 3 of them. That can be cumbersome. So we need to pay these teachers more, these police officers, these firefighters, these doctors, these nurses. Lawyers are doing just fine. They have found a way to maximize and capitalize on their talents when they do these big class action lawsuits and civil cases. That law license is one hell of a license to have. But back to the Kansas City Chiefs, I think they remind me of the St. Louis Rams, the greatest show on turf in 1999 with Mahomes, and then you had Kurt Warner with the Rams. And what I mean by that, Kurt didn't move and he wasn't as mobile as Pat, but his release point and getting that ball out there to his receivers, his 3-step and 5-step drop and letting it go and finding his spots is very reminiscent of the St. Louis Rams. The other most important ingredient to the Kansas City Chiefs that reminded me of the Rams that's now missing with the Chiefs is Tyreek Hill. They let him go. He ended up signing a 4-year, $120 million deal, $72 million guaranteed with the Miami Dolphins. And I think that is the number one missing piece on why the Kansas City Chiefs are not where they're at. Yeah, their wide receivers are dropping some balls and they've had some issues, but Tyreek is a clear example. And what people don't realize with the Rams is that to me, the nucleus of the Rams offense was not Isaac Bruce, Kurt Warner, Torrey Holt. It was Marshall Faulk. This is a guy that could do what I call 6 or 7 different things. He could block, he could run, he could catch and run in the flat, he could run routes, he could be a punt returner, a kickoff returner, and if need be, he could be a cornerback or a safety. 7 areas. And as anybody that knows Marshall's story, Marshall ended up going to San Diego State because he wanted to play running back. But the school he really wanted to go to was the University of Miami, or LSU, and they wanted him to be a cornerback. And so when guys are between 5'8" and 5'11", really 5'8" and 5'10", that is the prototypical running back. But he also used to be the prototypical cornerback. And Marshall stuck to his guns and went to San Diego State and just destroyed college football and ended up being the number 2 pick for the Indianapolis Colts back in the late 90s. And he ended up with the Rams. But if you remember, when plays got broken down with the St. Louis Rams, Kurt Warner, his pillow, his safe haven, was dumping it to Marshall Faulk. Marshall Faulk turned a ton of broken plays into 20 and 30-yard first downs and even touchdowns. And that's what Tyreek Hill, that was his position and his power that he had with the Kansas City Chiefs. If you notice, they really remind you of each other. Tyreek Hill, about 5'10", Marshall 5'10", dark-skinned brother, strong legs, strong lower torso, super fast, super elusive, and that's what they're missing. Running standard routes and the way Patrick Mahomes moves around, there are a lot of broken plays that he made and turned into something, and Tyreek was right there in the middle of it. Travis Kelce is a great tight end, but if you notice, it doesn't look like he's moving that fast, but if you're out there, you could tell he's running fast. But he gets open a lot because he knows how to be flexible enough to get open in a broken play and get to his spots. And that's what him and Patrick Mahomes, they have this rhythm and this dance where they can do that. But you need a second piece. And of course, the Chiefs don't have an Isaac Bruce, who's a Hall of Famer, and a Torrey Holt, who's a potential Hall of Famer there. With the Chiefs, they have some mediocre, average wide receivers, but Tyreek Hill made all the difference in the world. So they're not putting up 35 and 40 points because they don't have that elusive guy that can stretch the field. If you put a linebacker on them, they can't guard them like they couldn't Marshall Faulk. If you put an inside corner, a slot corner on them, can't guard them. Your primary corners on the outsides with the number 1 and number 2 receivers on your left and your right. And then that slot corner is really your third best corner. And they can't guard Tyreek either. And as you see, as he's gone to the Miami Dolphins, he's a primary receiver. And his numbers are not necessarily the same, but he is stretching the field, and he has changed the dynamics on both teams. He's changed it for the betterment of the Miami Dolphins. I think their quarterback is just okay. And you see the Chiefs are suffering. So I don't know if the Chiefs should have tied up $500 million in Patrick Mahomes. He could have let $100 million go and got 400. Once you start making that kind of money, what is the difference? And then with endorsements, he would have made that other $100 million up anyway. And you could have preserved Tyreek with the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think that is going to be the key ingredient that's going to prevent them from making it to the Super Bowl or let alone winning it. Tyreek Hill was the number 1 ingredient, and he's very reminiscent of Marshall Faulk from the 1999 Super Bowl champions, the greatest show on turf. Even though he plays more of a receiver role, but he can play running back. He comes out of the backfield in the whole 9 yards. He takes all the pressure off that offensive line, off the quarterback. That tight end can move around and do some more things. He's going to have 2 or 3 defenders. They're going to rotate the defense over towards Tyreek. That's why they keep him moving in space with the Miami Dolphins and with the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think Kansas City made a huge mistake by letting Tyreek go. And it takes a lot of pressure off the defense. If you can put up 35 or 40 points a game, your defense is not on the field a whole lot, and then they don't have to have time management or be stressed out trying to stop each and every play from being a potential score or field goal. So Tyreek Hill is the missing ingredient. He's that chief for the Kansas City Chiefs that's no longer there, and they are missing that drastically. So them losing to the Raiders for the second time this year, and I think they're like 9-5 and 9-6, has been a big mistake, and they should have paid Tyreek. If he got 120, they should have made room, even if Mahomes had to take less. It's a team game. It's a we game, not a me game. And and I think the Chiefs have made a mistake. They could have went on a 4 or 5 Super Bowl run with Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek being part of the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think this is going to hurt them in the end. So I wanted to put up a video, something that's a little loosier and goosier than talking about social and traumatic issues that take place across America and across this world, which is most of my commentary on my YouTube channel. I do enjoy football, play football, basketball, and baseball, and pay very close attention. My next video I'll be doing will be on the Cowboys, and they just lost back-to-back games against Buffalo and then against Miami, where Tyreek Hill is at. So let's stay tuned with the Chiefs. I hope they end up coming out the AFC. If not, I think Miami will, and or Buffalo. But I think they made a very, very invaluable mistake by letting Tyreek Hill go. He is the Marshall Faulk. He was the Marshall Faulk of the Kansas City Chiefs. He's the Marshall Faulk of the Miami Dolphins, and he's the Marshall Faulk of the National Football League right now. And of course, Marshall was a former offensive MVP in the NFL. And you have to remember also, with that West Coast offense, even during the time of Jerry Rice, who was the first running back to rush for 1,000 and catch for 1,000? It was Roger Craig. That offensive player, then Marshall Faulk, broke that record. I think he did it a couple of times. You need a player, even though they had Jerry Rice and John Taylor and Joe Montana. Having that guy that you can throw that ball out into the flat, or who can run short routes and have that linebacker on him as a mismatch, makes all the difference in the world for your quarterback and your offensive line. And that's where the Kansas City Chiefs are lacking. This guy could be a running back, a wide receiver. He can do multiple things: punt return, kick return. If need be, he can play corner or safety. The man can play 6 or 7 positions at 5'10", and that makes all the difference in the world. Remember Roger Craig. Remember Marshall Faulk. Of course, Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith. The prototype for these kinds of running backs and elusive guys are between 5'8" and 5'10", strong legs, big heart. It's not reinventing the wheel. It is what it is. You're not going to find that many Tyreek Hills to come in the NFL each and every year like a Randy Moss, but he was 6'5", and he was more limited as far as positions than Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill can do a multitude of things. So Kansas City's going to miss out on Tyreek, and I wish him the best. Let's manifest our truth, and let's see how the Kansas City Chiefs end up this year.